Berlin buried everything. Buildings, files, people. A man foresaw the fire and was found shot dead in a field. A man designed the symbols of an empire and was never prosecuted. A man was found frozen in the mountains, and no one asked what he had been looking for. Tonight, we dig up what was buried. Like this video. Stay with us. This is Silent Tab. February 1932, Berlin. The Wintergarten Varieté stage. The hall was packed. The Weimar Republic was on the edge of collapse. Streets in chaos, currency worthless, the future unreadable. And in the middle of all that, Berlin's most sought-after man walked onto the stage. He raised his hands, closed his eyes. A long silence.
Ein Feuermeer wird Deutschland überfluten. Ein großes Gebäude wird brennen und aus diesem Feuer wird eine neue Macht entstehen.
A sea of fire will flood Germany. A great building will burn, and from that fire, a new power will rise. The audience froze. The hall was silent. In the back rows, someone whose name never made it into the records did not leave. 11 months later, on February 27, 1933, the Reichstag burned. The man's stage name was Erik Jan Hanussen. His real name, Hermann Steinschneider. Born in Vienna, of Jewish descent. The brightest prophet in Nazi Germany being Jewish, that is only one of the strangest details in this story. Hanussen moved to Berlin in the early 1920s. The city fit him perfectly. Weimar-era Berlin was a place of cabarets, occultism, political chaos, and crowds who packed into theaters to watch all of it. Hanussen read those crowds and understood exactly what they wanted: someone to narrate the unknown. Hypnosis sessions, mind-reading performances, prophecies. Tickets sold out weeks in advance. Berlin's most prestigious venues were lining up. But behind the stage, he was playing a different game. He lent money to SA officers, large sums. He organized private dinners with Berlin's rising political figures. And from 1932 onward, according to reliable sources, he conducted one-on-one sessions with Adolf Hitler. Stage techniques, body language, how to hold a crowd, how to use your voice, how to silence a room. A Jewish man taught the future Führer how to hypnotize the masses. Berlin was the only city where that paradox was possible. Because in 1932, everything was still in flux, ideology not yet hardened, power not yet distributed, lines not yet drawn. Hanussen moved in that gap, until the gap closed. March 1933. Power had settled. Hanussen spoke too freely at an exclusive party. He let it be known, without naming names but unmistakably, that he was aware of certain SA internal operations. He had inside sources, and he wasn't hiding it. 3 days later, he disappeared from the streets of Berlin. March 21, 1933. He was seen for the last time. Days later, he was found on an isolated plot of land on the outskirts of the city. Multiple gunshot wounds. Official record, unsolved murder. The investigation was quietly closed. No one was prosecuted. The Reichstag prophecy is still debated among historians. Did he truly see it? Or had he heard through his SA sources that the fire was being planned? If the latter is true, Hanussen was among those who knew before it happened. And those who knew didn't live long. 1933, Berlin, SS headquarters, Prinz Albrechtstrasse 8. This address would become the most feared in the city. The Gestapo was here, SS leadership was here, and from 1933 onward, in an upstairs office, a silver-haired old man worked quietly at his desk. His name was Karl Maria Wiligut. His rank, SS Brigadeführer, equivalent to general. His assignment, to construct the spiritual and symbolic architecture of the SS. His file read, Salzburg Psychiatric Institution, 1924 to 1927. Diagnosis, paranoia, symptoms of schizophrenia. Documented cases of violence against his wife. Heinrich Himmler had read that file and set it aside, because Wiligut had told him something different, that he was the last carrier of the Aryo-Germanic tradition, that he carried thousands of years of occult memory passed down through his bloodline, that by entering a trance state, he could access that memory, ancient Aryan rituals, lost runic wisdom, the true names of the Germanic gods, all of it retrievable from within. Himmler's Berlin was already saturated with occultism. The traces of the Tool Society, the remnants of the Ariosophy movement, dozens of figures attempting to embed mystical Germanic tradition into the foundations of Nazism. Wiligut found the perfect footing in that landscape, and from his Berlin office, he shaped an empire. First, the symbols. The runic insignia on SS officer uniforms, the symbols used in oath ceremonies, the markings on gravestones, all passed through Wiligut's trance sessions. He would close his eyes, sink into a long silence, and then dictate. No one questioned it. Himmler made sure of that. Then, the rituals. The SS's internal ceremonies, the mystical framework of the officer oath, the occult structure of annual gatherings. Wiligut was the architect of all of it. These rituals, drawn from pagan tradition, were what separated the SS from an ordinary military organization. Himmler wanted a sacred order. Wiligut was its high priest. The most tangible trace was Wewelsburg Castle. Himmler had decided to transform this medieval castle in North Rhine-Westphalia into the SS's central sanctuary. The plans came out of Wiligut's Berlin office. The Schwarze Sonne, the Black Sun, mosaic embedded into the floor of the castle's north tower, was a direct product of Wiligut's occult work. 12-armed, solar in form, woven from ancient Germanic runes. It is still there today. Where Wiligut obtained that symbol is unknown. From my memory, he said, no further explanation. Himmler didn't ask for one. He was forced into retirement in 1939. The official reason was health, but by then, the circle that had protected him had collapsed. His psychiatric file had reached the upper ranks. He left the stage before the war ended. He died in 1946, was never prosecuted. His name appeared in none of the Nuremberg trials, but the symbols he designed remained. The Black Sun is still on the floor at Wewelsburg, and today it appears in the logos of dozens of far-right organizations across the world. A trance session in a Berlin office, still active. 1933, Berlin. Annenberg headquarters, Dahlem district. The research division Himmler had established was one of Berlin's quietest and most dangerous institutions. On the surface, academic, archaeology, linguistics, prehistoric studies. In reality, a search for evidence to prove the cosmic supremacy of the Aryan race. Expeditions to Tibet, to Iceland, to the Middle East. And inside this building, from 1937 onward, a young writer worked at his desk. His name was Otto Rahn. Rahn was not an academic. He was a medievalist, but his obsession had long outgrown scholarship. The Cathar sect. This Christian movement, massacred in the Languedoc region in the 13th century, was believed to have been the guardian of the legendary Holy Grail. Rahn had given himself over to that belief entirely. In 1933, he published Crusade Against the Grail, a book documenting his travels through southern France, the Pyrenees, and the ruins of Montségur Castle, following the Cathars' trail. The book reached Himmler. Rahn was summoned to Berlin. He joined the Ahnenerbe as an SS officer. His mission was clear: find the Holy Grail. Or at minimum, place it within a framework that could be woven into Nazi mythology. Aryan knights, ancient wisdom, the universal supremacy of the Germanic spirit. Rahn traveled Europe, researched, wrote. In 1937, his second book, Lucifer's Court, was published, but his time in Berlin was slowly hollowing him out. It was known that Rahn was uneasy inside the SS. His journals and letters were examined after the war. They weren't explicit, but something was corroding him. Some researchers write that he was gay, and that this placed him in increasing danger within the SS. Others argue that what he found during his Cathar research shook him ideologically. What did he find? Unknown. 1939. March. Otto Rahn was found dead in the Bavarian Alps, near Seoul. Official record: suicide. The autopsy report was brief. The investigation was brief. The Ahnenerbe files in Berlin were largely destroyed after the war. It is known that before his death, Rahn sent a package to Berlin. Its contents were never recorded. Neither was the name of the recipient. Whether he found the Holy Grail remains unanswered. But there is a more unsettling question. If he did find something, why did he have to die? Berlin's secret was never the crimes themselves. It was the city's mastery of burial. Files were closed, names were erased, questions were never asked, and those who asked too many were taken care of, quietly, efficiently, without a trace. 3 stories, 3 different ends, 1 city. Choose the next one. Write it in the comments. And if you don't want to miss what comes next, subscribe. This was Silent Tab. Until next time, stay awake.